Hi, another in the series of World War II Special Operations books, and today's book is about one of the training centres, one of the SOE STS set up, and this one was for a particular country section, which was the Poles. Now, of course, Poland came into World War II by being invaded by Nazi Germany 1939, and simultaneously invaded from the east by the Soviets. And from that time until the Berlin Wall came down era, they were under occupation by one form of dictatorship or another. And of course the famous massacre at the Kachin Forest, which was done by the Soviets against the Polish officer class, really only emerged after World War II as a major war crime. So there was a Polish government in exile set up in London, and there was a Polish section of SOE which operated both agents into France, because there was a lot of Poles of French bilingual capacity, but also back into Poland. And the book that discusses it is this one, Station 43, Audley End House and SOE's Polish section, by Ian Valentine. And there's been a couple of books written by about specific training areas, and this one is devoted entirely to Station 43. Just dipping into the book at various sections, training students in physical conditioning involve learning to survive from the land, PT physical training, cross-country runs and close-quarter fighting. Iranek Osmeki states, "A queer custom existed in the mountain abode which was our quarters. It was not done to enter through the doors and gates. To avoid paying sixpenny fines for all transgressions of this code, we had to vault over fences and climb in through windows. Similar fines were incurred for inaccurate shooting, slow change of magazines, or clumsiness in readjusting jammed weapons. The kitty thus collected paid for the beer during our free Saturday afternoons." This system actually goes on to today in some military units, where they have a fine system and then they pay for and of course a big barbecue and beer drink. And the thing about not using the doors and so on, a friend told me that GSG 9, which was the German hostage rescue unit, there was an American exchange guy over there, and they broke for lunch in the canteen, which is on the 4th floor. And when he got up there, he went to the bathroom on the way, and then when he got up there, it was deserted, and then the guys climbed in the window. Apparently it was the done thing to climb up the outside of the building. Don't know how true it is, but it's a great story. Continuing an extract, specialist training was also preceded by a rapid physical fitness course, which included gymnastics, trapeze work, and the parachute practice. The vast majority of Polish agents had to know how to parachute out of an aeroplane. Initial instruction took place at the Polish Parachute Brigade Training Centre in the grounds of Largo House in Upper Largo, Fife, with a training tower located at the London Links nearby golf course. The centre was also a major training area for the Special Boat Service. Then it goes on to talk about the actual parachute training which took place at Ringway. Going on to some of the training that the Polish section went through, not just in this establishment. The following training took place at Inverlochy: high explosives and mining, close fighting including assaults upon guards and fighting with stilettos, often under instruction by ex-members of the Shanghai police. English language, physical training including football and boxing, lectures on enemy organisation, the German army and their customs, wireless sets and armament. Then goes on to talk about the different weapons, including the enemy weapons they had to take part. A senior officer comments, "The Poles are taking this business of training at the STC, Special Training Course, very seriously and have set up a special department at Polish GHQ to deal with both. They are probably much too ambitious and want to run a continuous series of courses for 50 officers of both places, with the object of training at least 2 battalions. There are also courses obviously on special subjects such as wireless, and they also did courses I'm just finding it. The London District School of Tactics Street Fighting Wing course was completed by 58 parachutists and took place in the bombed ruins of Battersea in South London. There was also training in acclimatising candidates to live in a city on their own for a certain period, taking place in Birmingham, Liverpool and Glasgow, described by Tucholsky as an English practice. Really interesting. It's kind of what modern intelligence agencies would do to train their officers to live in specific areas such as cities and so on, how to blend into daily life. These chaps were foreign, and Britain was under a security alert, and just being able to blend in and go to pubs and things like that was an important skill to have. Another interesting thing, a lot of the stories in the book come from Polish officers or Polish agents who survived, but the centre was run by British personnel. But the British personnel have been highly reticent to talk about their experiences. They still were operating under wartime secrecy, even at the time this book was written, which was in 2004. So it just shows you that wartime and the British obsession with secrecy was pretty strict. The book then covers the actual operations done and the big section on the special duty squadrons, the Thamesford taxi service. It mentions the first flight to Poland was on the 15th of February 1941, when 3 Polish agents were dropped by Whitley bomber, approximately 80 miles from the Polish border, destined for the Krakow region. It was reported that the flight had been extremely hazardous. All 3 couriers reached their reception point, with one man returning to London in 1942 via Lisbon. Now, operations into Poland were extremely hazardous, and the book goes into many of them here. Quite a few of the agents and couriers were arrested, not only by the German security apparatus, the SD and the Gestapo, but also by the Soviet security people, the NKVD. So they had to be really careful. I found these books very interesting. They show how Britain was the haven for the countries that were under German occupation, how the fight was pursued, and the hope given to the people living under Nazi occupation that eventually they would be liberated. There were people actually fighting to liberate them, and as such, books like this do deserve a wide readership.